Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Bernie O'Flaherty and I work with the Local Authority Waters Programme. I'm going to talk today about communities and water and a vision for the future. Our programme stems from the Water Framework Directive, which is delivered in Ireland through a series of river basin management plans. We're into the second cycle of the river basin management planning process, and this takes a new approach to governance and water management. We're part of this new approach. The River Basin Management Plan asks us to promote public participation in the management of our water environment, to have meaningful engagement with the public, along with a number of other functions. LawPro is a local authority shared service managed by Kilkenny and Tipperary County Councils and funded by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. In terms of participation, I'm referring here to the Arnstein's ladder of participation, which has been used in previous Water Framework Directive projects. I just draw your attention to level 3, 4 and 5, information, consultation and involvement. They're specifically mentioned in Article 14 of the Water Framework Directive. I'll also draw your attention to level 6, participation. And this is a partnership approach that is probably more in line with integrated catchment management, where the public can engage with public bodies and have a more significant role. So starting out in terms of our community engagement programme, there was a number of challenges and barriers presented. Firstly, there's no blueprint for community engagement. There's generally a low level of water literacy in Ireland. And in terms of community water groups, they were scarce on the ground in many areas. The environment also can be associated with a negative narrative, and this poses a challenge occasionally. What we also noticed was a mistrust of public bodies. And sometimes within public bodies, there is perhaps a lack of a culture of participation. But also there were many opportunities starting out. There certainly was an appetite for information and involvement. There was a new interest in environmental matters. Our Community Water Development Fund was a very significant tool for engagement. And our own LawPro team had a very diverse skill set and experience, which brought a lot of innovation to the project. Early on, we developed a partnership with the Rivers Trust and benefit from their learnings and experience. Another opportunity was presented through the Department of Agriculture funded EIP projects and other projects that are out there. And there's plenty of scope as our programme developed for communities to get involved in other projects. We also identified synergies with the work of the Department of Rural and Community Development and the associated structures, the local development companies, the LEADER programme with significant funding under its environmental theme, public participation networks, and the local economic and community plan. Starting out, we also learned from the community. In this River Sure pilot consultation, we asked 16 communities, what does your local river mean to you? And you can see by the responses, the community has wide interest in various aspects of catchment and a river. So communities take a very holistic view of a catchment. Sometimes in public bodies, we have a more siloed view, so we can learn from our communities. In terms of a vision for the future, we'd like to build on the work of LawPro and the active communities to date. We'd like to strengthen water literacy, environmental knowledge, and an appreciation of all things water, water quality, biodiversity, climate, and the benefits of being active in nature, or community well-being, which is so important now. We'd like to see active groups influencing local decision-making and plans. We'd like to see communities supported to solve local issues or to play an active role in catchment management. We'd like to future-proof this community participation. Now, building on the work of our community team, and I'd like to acknowledge the engagement and outreach by our 13 community water officers, which is the cornerstone of our programme. They're meeting new groups on the ground, having new conversations about water, building a connection with waters and with the landscape, building trust in the new approach and with public bodies, developing a community around water by bringing like-minded people together. The Community Water Development Fund has been a very significant engagement tool for us, and it facilitates active involvement at local level. You can see from the map, we've projects all across the country. Over 440 in total have been awarded grants. The programme has attracted a broad range of both traditional community and voluntary groups and catchment focus groups. Water management is complex, so looking into the future, we need to promote water literacy across the wider society. And what is water literacy? This is adapted from the Irish Ocean Literacy Network. A water literate citizen is one who understands the importance of water to humankind, can communicate about water in a meaningful way, and can make informed and responsible decisions regarding water. Looking forward to, we want to further knowledge and understanding, to encourage informed action, to have the right measure in the right place. And we see training and citizen science will be key in this area. I'd also like to refer you to our guide for community groups working with water, biodiversity and climate. And that has recently been updated and is available as a PDF on our website. Going forward also, we want to expand the engagement with the local development companies across the country through community training initiatives. Our own LawPro team have developed a new 5-module water resource management training programme that's been piloted in IRD Duhallow Rural Development Company at the moment. And we hope that this training will be delivered right across the country. And already there are 15 local development companies that we're working with. I'd like to acknowledge the early adapters to community and water and environmental training. The Inishowen Development Partnership with the Inishowen Trust funded a River Guardians programme in Donegal, and they're continuing this work, I think this year or next year. The Loud Leader Partnership delivered a range of environmental training, including water resource management. And the way they see it is that it's teeing up the programme for the next round of leader funding. It's important that we make a connection between active communities, public bodies and other stakeholders. And whether it's at an event like the Who's Who in Donegal, or whether it's one-to-one at a project by the riverside, meeting the fisheries officer or the conservation ranger. These are all very important connections, and there's learnings for all by engaging thus. There's an opportunity to create community visions, and I refer here to the Nor Vision down in the southeast. And the Nor Vision project was supported by 4 local development companies with our support. In the Dundalk Bay area, LawPro, with the support from the Rivers Trust, delivered a community vision across 4 counties in the Dundalk Bay catchment. In both areas, there's emerging organisations of volunteers trained in citizen science. Going forward also, it's really important that we support new group formation and the development of new groups that have recently formed. The Moy Trust and the Lochcarra Catchment Association have been formed since the start of the programme, and we've supported them all the way. Both groups have delivered a number of projects in their area. They're knowledgeable communities, they're capable. And in both areas now, the leader funding projects that I've mentioned earlier will be delivered in these catchments, and again support these groups going forward with additional, hopefully, members and a more knowledgeable community. I'd also like to acknowledge Lough Catchment Association, who've secured a life fund application of 5 million with their partner, the lead partner, Mayo County Council, in this initiative. Well done to all there. We also want to continue to support stewardship, the establishment of strong, knowledgeable communities with capacity and local influence. This is a picture here from our first community conference in 2019, which started networking among some of these groups that were active on the ground. This networking has continued, and there's a real value here of peer-to-peer learning. Led by Inishowen and the Meg Rivers Trust, there's a new iCatch network project funded by the Wheel with support funding from ourselves. And this is to address the training needs of these emerging groups, listed here on the right-hand side. Also, just bring to your attention, the Inishowen and Meg Trusts are both supported under the new Resilience Pilot Project, which is to examine ways of making these groups sustainable going forward. I just would like to refer to one case study, Cross-Border River Blackwater Catchment Trust, which is delivering for water in the north of the country. The group formed in 2013, and they're a strong, knowledgeable volunteer group with capacity to deliver projects. They're currently working with partners and funders. The Catchment Care has significant funding under its community incentive scheme. They've drawn down leader funding, our own funding. They're working with the group water scheme sector, and they've drawn down Department of Heritage funding as well previously. They have a number of very interesting projects: conservation grazing project, riparian buffer zone, habitat improvement, the removal of self-seeding conifers, farmer engagement, and more. What's interesting too about this project area is that it's an upland area of blanket bog with a special protection area for birds. There's a high status water body, a group water scheme source on the stream below, and also priority area for action further downstream. So a lot to be gained by having an active community in this catchment. I'd also like to refer to the tidy towns and other urban groups. I've just a number mentioned here, but we've over 100 tidy town groups involved with our LawPro programme, and these can deliver very significant and interesting projects in the urban environment. So looking forward and informing our vision for the future, I'd just like to refer to a few documents. One is the Department of Rural Community Development Strategy, Sustainable, Inclusive and Empowered Communities. And just one quote from the document: developing opportunities for communities to contribute, engage and participate in decision-making and policy implementation. I'd also like to refer to water research reviews and ongoing ERSI studies, which will inform future developments in governance and public participation. There's two documents here on the left are looking at experimental governance, and that's governance arrangement that provide for continual learning and evolving. We're at this stage now, we're reviewing these documents, and these will inform us going forward. So I'd like to finish up now, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank my colleagues in LawPro. I'd like to acknowledge the commitment and the contribution of community groups to our programme and to other stakeholders who have supported the programme in the last 5 years. Thank you for listening.